Welcome back to episode 140 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. How you doing? We are back. Kyle's still at the same location, enjoying his time off, which is lovely. I am back home after being in Minnesota over the weekend. Um, we have stuff that we want to discuss today. Um, we got Roman Anthony, we got Brewers, we got Shohei, depending on which side you want to talk about, because he's on now both sides again of the baseball of the spectrum. And then we got our teams. So kind of light today, but before we get into all that, Kyle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm still on vacation, which I'm very excited about, but it's on the tail end, so that part kind of sucks. But other than that, man, I'm doing good. The Yankees, they are still treading water, holding on to that last wild card spot. So that part sucks. I mean, I haven't been able to watch too much just because of being on vacation, but I'm still tuning in and making sure that I'm up to date on everything. And um, yeah, as soon as we get to the Yankees recap, I have a few things I want to discuss. But other than that, man, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Like I just mentioned a second ago, came back from Minnesota. It was time to take my brother back to college. Went by fast. I want to give a shout out too to my mom. She held up pretty good. Uh, she was a little scared there when we were taking off. Both times going to Minnesota and then coming home, but she did all right. I was able to calm her down. Like it's gonna be all right. We'll be good. We'll be good. So sure enough, she survived, and then like I said, my brother, my mom didn't want to let him go. My
Yeah.
brother did not want to let my brother go, but of course he had to, and and also too today is his 21st birthday, so shout out to my brother. Don't hit them margaritas too hard, my friend. Pace yourself. But uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm doing well. The Dodgers, not on the other hand, not so much. You know, they took 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays over the weekend. Now that's pretty good. The Blue Jays are one of the hottest teams in baseball. Um, and the Dodgers haven't really been playing well as of late. Here's the problem with that, though. You were 6 outs away from completing a sweep on Sunday, and the Dodgers left so many runners on base on Sunday afternoon when it was 3-1, and it actually worked out perfectly because from the time that we dropped off my brother to get back down to Minneapolis, because like I said, his campus where he's at and from the airport is like 2.5 hours.
Hmm.
So we had to get up yesterday morning to catch our flight, and obviously we didn't want to drive 2.5 hours, get up like at 4 in the morning. So we drove back down towards the city, and it worked out perfectly. We left right as the Dodger game was about to start. So pretty much the whole 2 hour drive down back to the hotel. We had the car play in the rental car, and I was able to listen to the Dodger game the whole way down. Um, Dodgers left a lot of men on base, and it was only 3-1 going into the eighth inning. And I'm like, the Dodgers played around with their food on Sunday, and I'm like, this is not going to hold. And sure enough, the Dodger bullpen imploded again. They lost. Then Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts could not get it done with the bases loaded, and then they lose. What was supposed to be an impressive weekend, taking 2 out of 3 or sweeping the Blue Jays, they end up taking 2 out of 3, and it was kind of disappointment. And then they got pounded last night by the Angels, and all of a sudden now the Angels are the Dodgers' kryptonite this season, as they are now 0-4. So that kind of bothered me a little bit too last night. But happy to be home. It sucks that I got to miss 3 games at home, but what can you do? It's for my brother. Happy to do it, but I'm doing well. So um, let's get into these topics. So first, we got Roman Anthony extension. No, I don't want to say that came out of nowhere, but um, I saw a lot of people not disappointed but surprised that he didn't wait this out.
Yeah.
And this seems like a bargain for the Red Sox. 8 years, $130 million, and with everything that has gone on with this season, it's been an up and down kind of roller coaster season with the Red Sox. You had, the signing of Alex Bregman to begin the year, then became all this drama of that, oh, well, Rafael Devers doesn't want to move to any other position. He wants to be the third baseman. And then it seems like they squashed it. They began the season, and then all of a sudden, boom, Rafael Devers is traded out of nowhere, which felt like pennies on the dollar from what the Red Sox got back in that trade.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, it seems like the Red Sox just needed to get him out of the clubhouse because now they're playing a lot better. And now they sign one of their rookies that they just called up recently in Roman Anthony. I like the deal. Listen, I know people, are saying how come he didn't wait this out? He could have got way more. It's like you don't know as a player where you're going to be at. Now, more than likely, most of these players, because this happens to every good rookie, they'll get offered like the team friendly contract extension. The big years with the low AAV. With the way these contracts are going, like that Roman Anthony is going to be nothing like in 3-4 years. But um, most of the time, these players don't take that deal. They
Mhm.
bet on themselves. They wait till free agency, and then they get the monster, $300-400 million contract. Well, Roman Anthony didn't do that, and I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying he's in the wrong or he should have waited, but um, I'm kind of in the boat of everybody else. I feel like he was one of those that he's gonna work out in the big leagues and he's gonna be really good for a while. And I feel like he could have got way more, but you never know down the road. But for the Red Sox, I like it. You're building your cornerstone team around Roman Anthony and all these young guys. So I like the move. Kyle, as a number one Red Sox hater, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a good move for Boston because I mean you're getting a top prospect. He's one of the top prospects in all of baseball. I believe he came in top 10 in Baseball America's rankings. Um, yeah, I mean he's solid, man, and he's currently slashing 283, 394, and 433 on the season with an OPS that equals out to an 828 OPS. Um, on top of that, he's compiled himself a 1.8 WAR with 51 hits and 3 homers. Um, yeah, I mean I that's a good rookie campaign. Um, that's exactly what you expected when Boston called him up. And now switching over to the other side of like Roman Anthony, my idea of this is yeah, he could have betted on himself, and I was in that boat too. I was shocked that he took a deal like this, um, you know, given his play. But here's the thing with a lot of players nowadays. You don't get much security unless you get one of those long term deals. And those long term deals, you need to play phenomenally to get one of them, especially in the sport of baseball. This isn't like any other sport. Like to be able to get that big contract, you need to be able to play at a high level for so many years. And now I'm not saying Roman Anthony can't do that because I think he can, but I get it. He now has a home for 8 years. He can start a family here. He can settle down, and he knows exactly what Boston's about. And who knows? Maybe he liked the culture of the clubhouse, and this is a place that he valued more than a uh, financial growth. And now $130 million, that's nothing to scoff at. And especially nowadays too, there's so many different avenues that you can allocate your money into investments or whatever it is. I'm sure he has an accountant to take care of his finances and things like that. So um, I get both sides of it, but looking out as a baseball fan perspective, um, I'm shocked that he didn't wait it out because I think he has the tools and the capacity to turn into a superstar in this league. And I think Boston's a great place for him to shine, especially with all the other young guys like Christian Campbell and so forth and so on. Um, so I mean I think overall it's a great deal for Boston for sure. But yeah, I'm just shocked that he signed it because I thought for sure Roman Anthony, um, given a few years of arbitration and things like that, and once he has free agency, I thought for sure he'd be able to bank in on a big contract. But hey, if he's happy, then why shouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Good all around. It's a team friendly deal. you know. So we'll see where this goes. As again, roller coaster of a season, but the Red Sox have been known to be cheap in
Mhm.
pretty much since the beginning of the 2020s, if not before that. They're maybe starting to flex their money around a little bit. Now it helps when it's a extremely team friendly deal, but
Yeah.
I really like this for the Red Sox. And like you mentioned, Roman Anthony can now settle down, doesn't have to worry about playing for a contract anymore. And listen, in 4 or 5 years, if he continues on this progression, I'm sure he'll go back to the Red Sox and say, "Hey, let's maybe redo this contract again." you
Hmm.
know, get a little
Absolutely.
bit more. So shout out to Roman Anthony. This is a really, really good contract. Um, how about the Milwaukee Brewers? They are all of a sudden just the best team in baseball, uh, and it's by a wide margin. They are currently at this very moment. Um, they are 74-44, exactly 30 games over 500. That's insane. They're on a 10-game heater here,
Yeah.
10-game winning streak. Um, now, listen, I'm not going to poo poo on their parade or anything, but we've seen Brewers teams in the past
Yeah.
have really good regular seasons and then fall flat on their face in the postseason. But
Mhm.
I don't know, like something feels a little bit different about this. Maybe I'm, falling into that trap again, like I have in past Brewers teams. But this is a really good story in baseball, and I'm so glad that the national media is mentioning that because listen, you get wrapped up with what's going on with the Dodgers and the New York teams and the Phillies and all this other stuff. But I'm so glad that Major League Baseball is not forgetting about this Brewers team because they've been playing damn good for most of the season here. They had a slow start, but they picked it up and they've really, I think, since before the All Star break, if not prior to then, they've been the best record. They've been the best team in baseball.
Mhm.
Are they the team to beat in the National League this year?
Mm.
I think it's time to start asking that.
It is definitely time to start asking that for sure. Yes. But I still want to say no. And I don't, it's the same exact thing as you. I am not taking a single thing away from what this Brewers team has accomplished because trust me, I wish my team was in the Brewers place right now. But I don't know if it's sustainable. I look at the lineup 1 through 9 and don't get me wrong, there's some boppers in this lineup. You got Bryce Terang, you got Collins, you got Contreras, you got Yelich, Vaughn, who just came over from the White Sox, who Andrew Vaughn's kind of killing it right now. Sal Frelick, Brandon Lockridge, these JJ Ortiz, these guys are they're playing extremely well and they're clicking. Now, a big part of baseball that me and you both know, especially when it comes to October, is if your team is clicking, it doesn't matter who the hell you go against, you're feeling good and you feel like you can beat them. It doesn't matter if you're going toe to toe with the number one seed in the American or National League, whatever it is, you feel that that team is a team of destiny and they can take it all the way. I just don't know if I've seen enough to warrant it's so tough because they are very very impressive right now. Best record in baseball. They're playing like the best team in baseball. Um, I just look at the depth. Okay, I look at some of these guys and I don't know if it's sustainable. The guys who I can truly rely on in this lineup right now is Christian Yelich. He's a veteran. He's a guy who's a former MVP and a guy who will go out there and give you solid ABs every single game, no matter if he's on a cold streak or a hot streak. He is one of those guys. William Contreras, he's another one. He's extremely solid behind the plate, and he's just overall a really good ball player. Bryce Terang, I think I've seen enough out of him to be able to rely on him in this lineup. Um, but outside of that, you have a lot of guys who truly haven't like I guess formed into the ball player that they're going to kind of thing. Where I look at guys like Caleb Durbin, he was a Yankee who got traded for Devin Williams. He was a solid prospect, but this is his first year in the majors. I don't know if I can rely on that when it comes to October when you're going up against teams like Philadelphia, Los Angeles, so forth and so on. So I love what they're doing, and don't even, and this isn't even on the pitching staff yet. You got Jose Quintana giving you 6 innings pitched with no hits allowed, or a couple hits allowed, no earned runs, whatever it is. I don't know if that's sustainable. Do you want Jose Quintana being your second starter going into October? That's where I get caught up. Now, for now, I love what they're doing, and I hope they keep it up because it's one of those Cinderella stories that I love hearing about throughout the season, and maybe this year it's Milwaukee, but in years past, getting bounced in the first round and not having enough depth in either the pitching staff, the bullpen, or the starting nine, That's where I get caught up. And I want to buy in this team. I really do, but I need to see a little bit more. And again, who the hell am I to say? They're the best record in baseball. But again, I've seen what Milwaukee has done, and I don't know if it's enough, if that makes sense.
I'm with you. I don't think they're the team to beat in the National League, but I mean, you have to start putting them in the conversation.
Oh,
I mean, there's a scenario here where they're going to run away, not just with the division, but with the best record in the National League, and they might be the one seed and have home
absolutely.
field advantage throughout the whole um, National League postseason. But um, yeah, their pitching concerns me, and again, like the Brewers as a franchise, they're one of these teams that they get snake bitten
Hmm.
when we get to October here.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not saying again, I hate to be like that,
Hmm.
but like you got to look at it from a whole perspective, like a whole franchise perspective. Like the Brewers have been one of these teams historically that they have good seasons, but then they just fall apart or they get snake bitten in the end.
Yep.
But I made a graphic Saturday
Hmm.
of factor cap, you know, and the first one that I put on there will both one seeds as of August 9th, 2025 be in the World Series this October. I pretty much got laughed at in the comments by that. So that should tell you what the rest of Major League Baseball, at least a small portion of people believe. They don't believe this Brewers team is going to get there that either. But
Yeah.
um, we'll see. Let's see what the Dodgers look like by the time we get to the end here. Let's see what, I don't know, maybe the Cubs in their own division look like by the end here. The Phillies, all these other teams, because like I said, you know, we've seen this numerous times. Just because you have the best record, you have the home field, doesn't mean anything. You can easily get beaten by a hot team, and then you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is one more point I want to make here. If the Brewers know anything for sure right now, it's Pat Murphy's the guy. I want to make that clear. I am a huge Pat Murphy fan, and he is one of those old school managers. Okay, and his team has gotten him into the fun sort of things. The clubhouse culture. I saw the reel the other day of him having pancakes in his pocket. I guess that's a thing that they're doing in
Heck
Milwaukee.
yeah.
Come on. Like, that's just the type of thing that I like to see. And you can tell that these players play hard for Pat Murphy. Now, I think managers aren't everything in this game, but they do play a pivotal role into what these players do on the field every single day. And I think Pat Murphy, he's when it comes to team chemistry, he's at the top of the league. One of the top of the league when it comes to his guys playing for him and like his guys knowing that he has their back. And I think that goes vice versa too. The players have his back. So um, I'm a huge Pat Murphy fan. I didn't want that to go unnoticed when we're talking about the Brewers and their success. I think he's a great manager, and I think he's the guy in Milwaukee for years to come.
Yeah, and it's crazy. A lot of that fan base wanted him fired
Yeah,
after last season. What happened with the Mets? And it's crazy how you know. I guess time heals all wounds. I guess
yeah,
because when you have the best record in baseball, you're 30 games over 500. Um, that can solve a lot of problems that
absolutely.
the fan base might have with you. Um, moving on, and I guess we can tie both of these in together. Shohei Ohtani. Now, you put this in here as part of the rundown. What side do you want to touch on? Because it seems like when you ask me, seems like you want to touch on the other side a little bit.
A little bit.
If you want to, go for it. I'm gonna be honest with everybody here. I have not fully read the article or anything like that. I
Mhm.
just saw the headline from John Boy and these other people. Now I have also seen a lot of people on Twitter again. Oh, piece of shit. You know, throw this guy out of the league. It's like relax. But
No,
if you want to touch on the other side, I'll go for it. Because
we
I'll just glaze him for like 10 minutes after that. So
we can tie the two together. It's just something that I figured is topic worthy. So we could tie the Dodgers and Shohei together here. It's going to be really quick. It's pretty much. I posted it this morning when I woke up. The Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani and his agent are accused of sabotaging $240 million of Hawaii real estate project.
So
Um,
what?
it's that's all I know. That's it. So everything that I say from here on out, I want it to be on record that it all is all assumption. It's all speculation. Um, it's interesting. This is now the second big thing that Shohei's been involved in outside of the actual game itself. And the first one was the gambling issue with eBay when that was going on when we were in Tampa. And it's interesting. Is it like Shohei's not picking the right guys around him? Is it
I think
like
you got to start asking that question now. I'll give you that.
yeah, I that's where my mind went because again, I'm in no world do I believe Shohei is doing any of this, of what he's being accused of or anything like that. I truly do think that it's come down to who's around him, who exactly is advising him to go to these people. I mean, you have the biggest star in Major League Baseball. Okay, now this is now two outside off the field issues that are negatively impacting him as a person. Um, and that's something that that part needs to be addressed, not the fact that of what's being accused, because I don't believe Shohei's involved in any of that, but it's something that definitely piqued my interest because I'm like, who the hell is around this guy? Who is like I feel like at some point isn't Major League Baseball gonna be stepping in, maybe pointing him in the right direction of who to go through. um I thought it was weird that he wasn't with Boris Corp, um, or any of these other big, agent names, things like that. And it does beg the question, like, where's he, where's he hiring these people? Like, where does this go through? Because it's very clear that now this is now the second allegation against Shohei Ohtani and party of his own. I don't know where to go from there, but it's it that's the part that I wanted to address. Not the fact that I think he's involved in any of this shit, but it is something that I think begs the question of like, you know, when is enough enough? Because again, Major League Baseball understands that Shohei's their biggest star and a guy who they market like crazy. And if the guy who they market the most out of any other player is being involved in allegations like this, something's got to give. So I think that's just my 2 cents. And obviously, I'm not going to say anything more because I don't know anything else. There really hasn't been too much else put forward, but it is something that needs to be, I think, squashed before it starts tampering with Major League Baseball.
I agree. And, the thing that sucks about stuff like this, it's like people are never going to be satisfied with
Mm.
the outcome. Like, if he gets convicted of anything, it's like, see, we told you he was a bad person. But then if he gets off, it's like, oh well, of course, Major
Yeah,
League Baseball is trying to protect him and everything. You know,
yeah,
so it's a lose lose situation in terms of public opinion. But yeah, I mean, you gotta start. Yeah, I'm with you on that. You gotta start kind of asking yourself, like, all right, like if you're Otani, like, what kind of people am I hanging around with, or what kind of people am I you know, doing business with, because he might think, oh yeah, these I trust these people. There's nothing wrong, but again, you don't know these people's intentions and stuff. But
absolutely.
um, so hopefully, this is nothing. Hopefully, this doesn't turn into anything. But you never know. You
Yeah,
never know. So I guess we're just gonna have to monitor this slowly. And I wonder when next time Shohei talks. Gee, I wonder what he's gonna be asked about.
absolutely.
I wonder what the first question is gonna be about.
Yeah,
Now going over to the baseball side of things, Shohei Ohtani, if there was any doubt, he is going to win the National League MVP again this season. Sorry, he is. And he has the stats to back it up. Second in OPS, first in slug, or no, second in OBP, first in slug, first in OPS over 1,000. He has now 42 home runs, 77 RBIs, and he has a 6.2 WAR. I mean, many have tried, and almost all of them are going to fail. First it was, you know, Pete Cole Armstrong. Now people are trying to make a case for Kyle Schwarber. But come on, man, it's Shohei Ohtani, and not to mention, this guy is now pitching.
Hmm.
Now, is he going, 7 innings into games? No, he's not. He's only going four. But Shohei Ohtani has looked pretty damn good on the mound since he's come back from, I guess, the second Tommy John surgery. And listen, man, I know a lot of people in this sport don't want to give him any credit, and they don't want to hear it, but you gotta appreciate what you're watching here.
Hmm.
You have to. You know, he's the best player in the world, a two-way player that can do it all, and he's been, and this is he could have been easily a lot better if he didn't have a slow. He kind of hit a wall there. I'd say about maybe a month and a half ago where he was swinging it. He's still doing that now, but he just his batting average was down, and people were wondering, well, can he still do both? Because it looks like all the effort he's putting in trying to pitch every fifth, sixth day, it seems like it's tailing over um into the batter's box, and he's kind of struggling a little bit. But he's picked it up as of late, and you just gotta appreciate what Shohei's doing, man. He's the best player in the world, man. He's gonna hit 50 home runs, I believe, again this season, and that's insane. On top of pitching, and I never forget what John Smoltz said a couple weeks ago, and I firmly believe it. And again, I saw the comments, people saying, "Oh, why are you glazing him?" But I'll reiterate what he said. If Shohei Ohtani took a year off from pitching, I mean from hitting, if Shohei Ohtani took a year off from hitting and just focused on pitching, he would be the best pitcher in the sport.
Hmm.
I believe, because I've seen little bits of it. I've seen little bits of it. His next start is going to be tomorrow against the Angels, and I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that when he strikes out Mike Trout again. That'll be fun to see. But um, Kyle, you want to glaze Otani too, or you want me to just keep going with my Dodgers? You don't have to. I don't
I
blame
mean,
you.
no, It's pretty much reiterating everything you said. I mean, I'm somebody who like I appreciate the game for what it is, and I'm going to appreciate the great players. Um, and it kind of brings me to a guy. It's not Shohei because he's just blasted everywhere, but I'm gonna kind of reiterate everything. It's That's why I think Jose Ramirez is one of those guys who I look at and I appreciate almost more than any other player because of what he does, and just he just doesn't get enough doesn't
Recognition.
yeah, recognition, things like that, and he just doesn't get enough of coverage. And for a guy like Shohei, everybody wants to complain about where he's getting too much coverage, but at the same time it's warranted. And that's the big thing. It's like, do do I want him to do well? Sure, because it boosts the Major League Baseball. That's my big thing. If he plays against the Yankees, I want him to suck ass. That's just how it goes. But no, I'll just reiterate everything you said. I'm somebody who I appreciate the game for what it is, and I'm going to appreciate the players who are great. And do I wish they were more on my team, especially right now? Absolutely. But that's what I say about Judge all the time too. Appreciate what you see, no matter what team he's on, because there's a chance you might never see a player like that again. And that's the way I view Shohei. So it's kind of the same thing you just said.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point here, which I get it. This happens in other sports, like it happened with Michael Jordan in basketball in the '90s. It happened with Mahomes. Like they want to give the MVP award to somebody else. They
Hmm.
do. They really want to. But you really got to earn it. And I mentioned this when he first got here. If you want to take the MVP award away from Shohei Ohtani, you're going to have to do something pretty historic, like
Hmm.
what Aaron Judge did in 22,
Hmm.
break the American League single season home run record. That's the things you have to do to win an MVP over Shohei. Because if Shohei's going to continue to produce like this, hitting, and if he's just going to do just enough on the pitching side, I'm sorry, he's going to win the MVP every year, or
Hmm.
at least be in the conversation for it.
And not to mention, back in 22, there were Judge didn't win that unanimously.
Right. There were still
there,
people that wanted to give it to Shohei.
there were still people voting for Shohei.
Absolutely. So that just tells you everything. But um, moving on here to my Dodgers, just real quick. I mentioned this and I still feel this way. This team is starting to worry me a little bit.
Hmm.
Starting to worry me a little bit. I didn't think it could happen in the middle of the summer with 7 weeks to go here. I think the Dodgers are starting to experience a little World Series hangover a little bit.
Hmm.
Now, I could have said that a month ago, but I think they're really starting to feel it now. I believe they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They did take a series against the Blue Jays, but they dropped the series against the Cardinals at home. They did not look good last night against the Angels. This team is starting to worry me a little bit. They really are. They have the pieces there. Some guys are hurt. Tommy Edman, Hae-Sung Kim. They're missing a couple pieces in the bullpen, but I was not expecting this at all at this point in the season. They're currently 68-51. Now I understand there's multiple teams in this sport that would kill to have a record like that. But because I'm a spoiled Dodger fan, I expected this team to be at least 10 wins better
Yeah,
at this point in the season. Um it's just so underwhelming. Like I mentioned this to you last week and I stand on this. Watching this offense trying to hit right now, it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's just, ugh. You know, they had a game where they blew up the Cardinals for 12 runs, and then they come back the next day and they lose like 4-3 or something like that. And they did that again over the weekend. They crushed the Blue Jays both nights, and then they lose a squeaker at home, and then they lose a squeaker Sunday. You know, um, this team is starting to worry me, and not to mention the San Diego Padres are one of the hottest teams in the sport now, and they're only a game back of this division. And dare I say that there is absolutely an alternate universe here, or this can absolutely happen. The San Diego Padres can absolutely win this NOS division this year.
they look good, man.
That is not out of the question anymore. A month ago it was, and a couple weeks ago I was telling you, yeah, well the Padres they might make it close, but I still think the Dodgers will close this thing out. I don't know anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know anymore. The Dodgers have looked so bad for such a while, for such a long time here now, and the Padres have looked so good for such a long time now. Now, big series at Dodger Stadium this coming weekend. I advise all of you that are done watching your shitty ass teams stink it up. Watch Dodgers Padres this weekend. And then that's in LA. Looking forward to that. And then next weekend, we got to go to San Diego. So there's 6 more times that these teams will play, and that's it. Everything else after that, just got a scoreboard watch. So, gonna find out a lot about this team these next 2 weekends against the Padres. We're gonna find out if the Dodgers have a losing record against the Padres after these 6 games. We're gonna have to chase them down the stretch, and I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. But if the Dodgers come out of there 4-2, something like that, with a winning record, then I think the Dodgers should be okay. But Dodgers have to take care of business these next 2 weekends against this Padres team because they're one of the hottest teams in the sport right now, and this Dodger team has not played at all to their potential, I believe. And I really think they're feeling a World Series hangover right now. They've played a lot of baseball since the arrival of Shohei Ohtani. Remember, they went to Korea last year. They went to Japan this year, and I think I had mentioned this to you. And I'm saying all this not making excuses. I'm really not.
Hmm.
But from the time that the Dodgers won the World Series last year to the time that they had to report for spring training, because remember, the Dodgers and the Cubs had to report to spring training almost a week and a half, 2 weeks earlier because they had to go to Japan for that 2 games for that series. The Dodgers had the shortest amount of time between a time off during the offseason by any defending champion. Shortest amount of time off in the offseason by any defending champion. I wonder if that's starting to hit them now.
Hmm.
Because they got off to such a good start. They started off 9-0. You know, they had an undefeated homestand. They took the 2 games in Japan. But since like June, they have played under 500 baseball. And this is not what I was expecting. So I wonder, and listen, obviously the players are never going to come out and admit it.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they're starting to feel it a little bit. Tired. They're not. They're gassed. Some guys are hurt. Some guys are just not performing well. But this team is starting to worry me a little bit. But again, they're still going to be in the postseason. And I'll tell you this, and I'll close it here. The Dodgers won the World Series last year on two things. They had a great bullpen, and they got just enough contributions from their offense. That's not going to be the case this year. The Dodgers, if they're going to repeat as champions this year, the Dodgers are going to have to win on their starting pitching. They're going to have to win on their starting pitching because I do not like what I've seen out of this bullpen this year, and their offense is very hit or miss. But I like what I've seen out of the rotation. Ohtani looks good. Snell's look good. Glasnow's look good. Emmett Sheehan's look good, and even the GOAT, the old buzzard Clayton Kershaw's even look good. He outdueled Max Scherzer Friday night. Did you see that? That was incredible. But
Absolutely. I had to.
uh,
I had to see that.
absolutely, old dead arm Scherzer over there. So the Dodgers, if they're gonna repeat, it's gonna be on their starting pitching to go deep into these games, and Yamamoto too. I can't believe I forgot him. But um, yeah, starting pitching is gonna have to get it done because this bullpen kind of stinks right now, and their offense is very hit or miss. Now on the flip, then one last thing, Mookie Betts is starting to play better. I don't know if you've seen it, but he's been hitting the ball well. He has like a 7-game hitting streak going on. He's performing better. Freddie Freeman looks like himself again. Shohei Ohtani's starting to get going again at the plate. Teoscar Hernandez is starting to perform a little bit better. So there is part of me, and Max Muncy, since he's come off the IL, has looked really good.
Yeah.
Not just at third base, but at the plate. He's drawing walks. He's getting on base. He's hitting home runs. I just hope it all comes together in October. That's at this point in the year, that's what I'm banking on right now.
Hmm.
That this team will catch fire again at the end of the season like they did last year, and they go on a run to win another championship. But this team's starting to concern me, man, because I didn't think this division was even going to be close this year. And now there's a real world where the Dodgers lose the division to the Padres, and then the Dodgers have to play a best of 3 series after scuffling for a full 162. That concerns me because this year this Dodger team, a lot like last year, they need to get one of those 2 buys in the National League and get that week off. This team really needs it, but we'll see.
All right. Yeah. Going on to a team that is kind of in the similar situation as the Dodgers, um, the Yankees. So first, this it's going to be a Yankees recap, but it's going to be more focused on comments by a former player, everybody's favorite Yankee, Clint Frazier. So for those of you who don't know, he came out with a podcast episode, and he posted on Twitter or X, whatever, saying what is one thing you kind of want to see different about the Yankees, whatever it is. And now, for those of you who don't know, Clint Frazier was prized prospect in the Yankee system, and the Yankees held on to him, and then he never really turned out to what he was supposed to be in the majors. Um, so the Yankees ended up holding on for him, holding on to him for too long, and so forth and so on. So one of the big things was fire Boone. And that was something I had stated on last week's episode, and I'm a big fan of. So obviously Clint Frazier knows more than I do. He knows more than what fans do about what the Yankees organization runs like. And one of the big things that really stuck with me was if you fire Boone, you got to fire other people. And now that was something that's always been tied to the Yankees was Boone being a puppet. And that's exactly what Clint Frazier, in his own words, said that Aaron Boone is the mouth of all the operations that go on behind. And he already knows things that's going to happen. He knows how things are going to be ran, and it's not necessarily his decision. Now, I've known that for years. It's just something that, like, that's what we hear when it comes to the Yankees is that Boone is just the mouth of all of this. So Clint Frazier had stated like if Boone goes, a bunch of other people got to go with him for changes to be made. So then it begs the question, well, where do the Yankees go from here? Because you don't want this to continue, but it just seems like it's never going to stop because those higher up positions are always going to Brian Cashman's been in that position since I've been born. Ever since I've been alive, I've known one GM for the New York Yankees, and it's been Brian Cashman. And Hal Steinbrenner seems like he's forking out money, but he's not doing enough to get the Yankees over the hump. And if that's going to continue to be the thing, firing Boone's not going to matter. It's just they're going to get somebody new in there to do the same thing that Boone's doing now. Um, Now, one of the big things that Clint Frazier had stated was the lineup. Okay, so Boone makes his lineup. This is every single game, by the way. Boone makes his lineup, the analytic department makes their lineup, and then they come together and make one lineup. I'm sorry, I don't care how much you rely on analytics in the game of baseball. Do they help? Yes. Are they all about baseball? No. That's just not how it goes. Sometimes baseball is a game of feel, and especially for a manager. I'm thinking in a position like um, bullpen. Okay, so I've been dogging on Aaron Boone and just like every other Yankee fan for bringing in Devin Williams in some of these situations. Devin Williams needs lower ended leverage situations, and he can't be relied on in high leverage situations. So I'm thinking to myself that if Boone wants to go to the bullpen, but the analytic department and the rest of the front office is in his ear saying, no, our stats tell us you need to go to Devin Williams. Well, guess what? He goes to Devin Williams, and Devin Williams gets shelled for 4+ runs in the ninth inning, and the Yankees end up losing the game. He has more blown saves out of anybody in almost anybody in the American League. It's you can't rely on a guy like that. And I understand Devin Williams, like his analytics are going to tell you to go to him in that situation because look what he's done in Milwaukee. So yeah, history will tell you that hey, Devin Williams is the guy to go to, but not right now. Devin Williams can't locate his velocities down, and his changeup is being hit more than any other pitch, and that's his bread and butter. So I'm looking at situations like that where, yeah, the analytic tells you one thing, but I'm sorry, Aaron Boone's feel cannot be to go to Devin Williams in those situations. I'm sorry, not when you have Tim Hill, who's a complete sinker ball reliever, who's a guy who you can rely on to eat up innings. Well, if he's available in the ninth inning, go to him. Yeah, it's not conventional, but at the same time, it's probably going to work out better than adding Devin Williams into the game in the ninth inning. So again, it's one of those things where I find it funny because we we don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. But if this is what the Yankees are doing and they're really relying on the analytical department this much, this concerns the shit out of me for the future. Because if the Yankees never switch this up, there's a reason why they haven't been sorry, not back to the World Series, but haven't won a World Series since 2009. It's the same song and dance every single year. And look, the Yankees, I said this last week, the Yankees analytical department got fucking exposed last year in the World Series because the Dodgers sought out every single thing that the Yankees did wrong. And you know what it was? It was a game of feel for the Dodgers. Dave Roberts went out there and he was putting in the shifts. He was putting in the proper hitting situations. He was doing everything correct to expose what was wrong with the Yankees. And that's exactly what he did. And that's why the Dodgers won the World Series last year. And if this is going to continue with the Yankees, this is a huge problem. And I don't know what's going to make them open their eyes to maybe trying a new situation or what it is. But as of right now, they find themselves in third place in the AL East, 6 games back of Toronto, 4.5 games back from Boston. They are literally clinging onto the final wild card spot in the American League behind Boston and Seattle. And they're only 1 game up on Cleveland. Cleveland, may I mind you, Cleveland is a team that sold at the trade deadline. Sold. And is probably not even looking at making any kind of noise in the postseason, whatever it is, and the Yankees find themselves 1 game up. I'm sorry, this team on paper is way too good. I said this again last week, and I'm going to reiterate it yet again. This team is way too good on paper to be this bad on the field. It doesn't make sense. That makes me think something behind the scenes is going on. This team relies on the analytical department way too much, and they have been for years. It seems like ever since 2017, they felt that they had to switch their entire fucking game plan and strategies and everything. They thought, oh my God, this is a new way to think. We're going to get ahead of the game, whatever it is. I'm sorry, nothing. I say it all the time. Baseball is a game of very old fashioned techniques. And yes, you can add technology, you can add analytics and things like that. You can add it, but it's not going to be everything. It's not going to win you championships. I'm sorry, it's not. And I feel like that's the Yankees are really holding on to that. There's going to the team itself. I mean, 1 through 9, it is what it is. I really don't have much to say about the lineup. I want to give a huge shout out to Will Warren. That dude is pitching his ass off. He's been our best pitcher probably for the last 2 months, and he is a rookie, basically a rookie. He's his service time wise, but he's been the best pitcher in the Yankees rotation. Max Fried seems he can't. Something's up with Max Fried. Something's up with Carlos Rodon. The rest of the Yankees lineup, just the lineup, the rotation. It seems like Will Warren's the only positive I can hang my hat on right now. Bullpen wise, David Bednar, he looks good, man. He looks like he is finally he's settling into his new home, and he looks good. That's who the Yankees closer should be from here on out. David Bednar. It's why you brought him over. He's the type of guy to kind of give Devin Williams lower ended situations, lower leverage. It sucks though. This obviously hearing Clint Frazier's talk is not what you want to hear as a Yankee fan because it just tells you everything that you've speculated over the years. And if he's telling us that, then why should I have no reason not to believe Clint Frazier? He was stuck in Scranton and Wilkes-Barre for the last, I don't know, years before they started calling him up. And then when he was called up, they ended up, it's just they were messing with his swing, they were messing with everything else. It's tough. It really is. And it is what it is, but I hope there's a change that comes soon. Because this isn't the Yankees that I know, man, or the Yankees that I heard stories of growing up. It's tough. It sucks, but I go back to 2009. That 2009 team, man, it was a team of feel. I'm telling you. I mean, CC talked about it when he was up in Cooperstown. We saw it firsthand. CC said that team just had the feeling, and they relied on their guys. And I'm sorry, I think that's a huge part of the game, is feeling and reliance on your players and your manager. And sometimes I think the manager needs to give to get a little bit more trust within the organization. And I feel like Aaron Boone just doesn't have that. I don't think he ever did. I think he was brought in to be a puppet, and that's pretty much it. And that's what it's been. So I I just hope something changes within the Yankees front office, analytical department, whatever it is, and we'll see from there. But as of now, I'll grade the Yankees of where they're at, and it's not great. I mean, it is what it is. They find themselves in a way worse spot than I expected, and we'll see where the rest of the season goes. But as of now, Will Warren, good for you, man. You're doing great.
There you go. There you go. Doom and gloom with
Absolutely.
both of our teams this week.
Yeah, it's not.
Uh,
Doesn't feel
it's not
great.
ideal. No, it's not ideal. This is not ideal at all. Um, all right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for episode 140.
I think so.
Get you out of here. Get you back to the pool.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's gotta
The
enjoy.
tanning bed too.
Yes, for sure. Enjoy these last few days before I'm back. Yeah, and next week I'll be back in my little hole.
It's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm trying to think of a smart joke to get out of here, but I don't have one today. So we'll see you next week. Adios.